I should have seen it coming when Mom texted me 3 times asking if I was definitely coming to Thanksgiving this year. She never confirms. She just assumes I'll show up, cook half the meal and smile while my sister Vanessa takes credit for the decorations she bought with money I lent her 2 months ago. But I went. Because despite everything, some stupid part of me still hoped this year might be different. The dining room was packed. 38 people crammed around 2 tables pushed together. Aunts, uncles, cousins I hadn't seen since last Thanksgiving, plus Vanessa's new boyfriend who kept checking his phone. My parents had gone all out with the fall decorations, the expensive china, the organic free-range turkey that I knew cost a fortune because Mom had sent me the receipt by accident 3 weeks ago with a little crying emoji. I'd brought 2 pies and a casserole. Vanessa brought her boyfriend and a bottle of wine she immediately opened for herself. Dinner started normally enough. Dad carved the turkey while Mom fluttered around making sure everyone's glasses were full. I sat between Aunt Carol and my cousin Mike, making small talk about his new job, nodding along as Carol complained about her HO. Then Dad stood up. He clinked his fork against his wine glass, the crystal ones, not the everyday stuff, and the room fell quiet. Mom was smiling. That should have been my first real warning. Mom never smiles like that unless she's about to get something she wants. I want to thank everyone for being here today, Dad started, his voice carrying that formal tone he uses at work presentations. Family is everything. And today we're celebrating not just this wonderful meal, but a new chapter for our family. I felt my stomach tighten. As many of you know, Vanessa and Chad have been dating for 6 months now. He gestured to my sister and her boyfriend. Vanessa was beaming. They're very serious. They're talking about a future together. Aunt Carol nudged me. How exciting, she whispered. Dad continued. Now, Vanessa has been living in that cramped studio apartment for 3 years. It's barely 400 square feet. Meanwhile, her sister Emma has that beautiful 2-bedroom apartment downtown. The one with the view. My chest tightened. Every eye in the room shifted to me. So, your mother and I have talked and we think it's time Emma did the right thing here. Dad's smile was so confident, so assured. Emma's going to sign her apartment over to Vanessa and Chad. They need the space. Emma's still young and single, she can find another place. It's the sisterly thing to do. The room erupted in applause. I sat frozen as 38 people clapped for my father's announcement that I should give away my home. Aunt Carol squeezed my shoulder. That's so generous, honey. My cousin Mike raised his glass to me. Vanessa was actually crying happy tears while Chad kissed her cheek. Mom stood up, her hand on her chest like she was accepting an award. We raised our girls to take care of each other. This is what family does. I felt everyone's eyes on me, waiting for me to stand up and hug my sister, to make some tearful speech about how happy I was to do this. Instead, I said very clearly, no. The applause died instantly. Dad's smile faltered. What? I said no. I'm not signing my apartment over to Vanessa. The silence was suffocating. Vanessa's face crumpled. Emma, don't be selfish. Selfish. I set down my fork carefully. My hands were shaking but my voice was steady. You want me to give you my apartment? The one I saved for 3 years to afford. The one I put 20% down on. And I'm selfish for saying no? Mom's face flushed red. After everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? I laughed and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. Like what, exactly? How dare you? Mom's voice was shrill now. She stood up so fast her chair scraped loudly against the floor. We gave you life. We raised you. We sacrificed. You sacrificed? My voice rose. I paid for your roof repair last summer. $6,200. I paid for Vanessa's car insurance for 8 months when she couldn't afford it. I bought your groceries every week for 6 months during Dad's salary adjustment. I have receipts. Dad's jaw clenched. That's not the point here. Then what is the point? That Vanessa needs my apartment more than I do? That I should just hand over something I worked for because she wants it? Vanessa stood up, tears streaming down her face. You've always hated me. You've always been jealous. I don't hate you. But I'm not giving you my home. That's when Mom snapped. She grabbed her wine glass, still half full of expensive Pinot Noir, and threw it directly at my face. I jerked back. The glass shattered against the wall behind me, red wine exploding across the cream wallpaper, dripping down onto the hardwood floor. Shards of crystal glittered on the tablecloth. The room gasped collectively. Someone's kid started crying. I stood up slowly. My ears were ringing. Wine had splattered across my sweater, the nice one I'd bought specifically for today. I could feel 38 pairs of eyes locked on me, waiting to see what I'd do. I walked to my bag on the side table. My hands were surprisingly steady as I unzipped it and pulled out a manila folder. "Emma, sit down," Dad commanded. His face was deep red now. "You're embarrassing yourself." I ignored him. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document, a crisp white paper with official letterhead. "This is my lease," I said clearly. "My name is on it. I pay $2,400 a month. I've never missed a payment. I have renter's insurance and I've passed every annual inspection." I set it on the table in front of Dad. But here's the interesting part. I pulled out the second document. "This is the lease-to-own agreement I signed 8 months ago. I'm purchasing this apartment. I've already paid $19,200 toward the down payment. The apartment will be mine, fully mine, in 18 months. Vanessa's face went white. "You're buying it?" "Yes. And before you ask, no, Mom and Dad didn't know. Because every time I mentioned wanting to buy property, Dad told me I was getting ahead of myself, and Mom said I should focus on finding a husband first." I pulled out another paper. "This is the title search I had done last month. Clean. No liens. No issues." Another paper. "This is my pre-approval for the mortgage. I qualified on my own. No co-signers needed." My voice was steady but my heart was hammering. "So no, Dad. I won't be signing anything over to Vanessa. Because in 18 months, that apartment won't just be my rental. It'll be my property. And you can't give away what isn't yours to take." Uncle Jerry cleared his throat. "Well, I think that's pretty clear." "Stay out of this, Jerry," Mom hissed. She turned to me and I'd never seen her look at me with such venom. "You ungrateful little." "I'm calling Marcus," I said quietly, pulling out my phone. Dad's eyes widened. "You don't need to." I was already dialing. "Marcus Chen, my family lawyer. The one I'd hired 6 months ago when I started realizing that my parents viewed my success as their retirement plan." He answered on the second ring. "Emma, everything okay? I need you to come to my parents' house. No. We have a situation." I gave him the address and hung up. The room was dead silent except for the sound of a toddler banging a spoon somewhere. "You called a lawyer?" Vanessa's voice was small. "To Thanksgiving?" "You tried to take my home," I said simply. "At Thanksgiving. In front of 38 witnesses who all applauded while you did it." I sat back down and calmly started eating my mashed potatoes. They'd gone cold but I didn't care. I needed something to do with my hands. No one spoke. Someone tried to make conversation about football, but it died after 2 sentences. Aunt Carol excused herself to the bathroom and didn't come back for 15 minutes. Chad was scrolling through his phone, actively pretending he was somewhere else. Mom and Dad sat rigid in their chairs, not eating, not speaking. Just staring at me like I'd grown a second head. 90 minutes crawled by. Then the doorbell rang. Dad stood up slowly. "I'll get it." We all heard the door open. Heard Marcus's calm, professional voice introducing himself. Heard Dad's clipped response. When they walked into the dining room, Marcus looked exactly like he always did. Impeccably dressed, leather briefcase in hand, expression neutral and polite. "Good evening, everyone," he said pleasantly. "I apologize for interrupting your holiday." He set his briefcase on the sideboard and opened it. "Emma called me because there seems to be some confusion about her living situation and property ownership. I thought it might be helpful to clarify a few things." He pulled out a folder. Much thicker than mine. "Emma Hughes currently resides at 412 Madison Avenue, Unit 7B. She has an active lease-to-own agreement with Horizon Property Management. She has made every payment on time and is in good standing." He looked at my parents. "This property cannot be transferred, sold, or signed over without Emma's explicit consent. Any attempt to do so would constitute fraud." Dad's face had gone from red to gray. Marcus continued, his tone never changing from polite and informational. "Additionally, I have here documentation of financial transactions between Emma and her family over the past 3 years." He pulled out another stack of papers. totaling $43,780 in direct payments, loans and covered expenses. Vanessa made a small choking sound. If there's any question about who owes whom in this family, I believe these records speak for themselves. He closed his briefcase with a soft click. Now, I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can schedule a formal meeting to discuss this further. But I want to be very clear. He looked directly at my parents. Any continued harassment regarding Emma's property will be documented and may result in legal action. The silence was crushing. Finally, Aunt Carol stood up. I think we should probably get going. Long drive home. That broke the spell. Suddenly everyone was standing, gathering coats, making excuses. Within 20 minutes, 36 of the 38 guests had fled. Only Vanessa and Chad remained, frozen in their seats. Mom's hands were shaking. She couldn't look at me. Dad finally spoke, his voice hollow. You brought a lawyer to Thanksgiving. You tried to steal my home at Thanksgiving, I replied evenly. I just came prepared. Marcus handed me a business card. Call me Monday. We should discuss some additional protections. I nodded. He left. The four of us sat in the destroyed dining room, wine still dripping down the wall, broken glass still glittering on the floor, 36 place settings abandoned mid-meal. I think I should go, I said quietly. I stood up, grabbed my bag and walked to the door. Behind me, I heard Vanessa start crying. I heard Mom say something sharp to Dad. I heard Chad nervously suggest they should also leave. I didn't turn around. Outside the air was cold and clean. I sat in my car for a long moment, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Carol. That took guts. Proud of you. Then one from Marcus. You did the right thing. Sleep well. I drove back to my apartment, and unlocked the door to my quiet, peaceful, wine-stain-free home. I never did get any pie. But I kept my lease. And 18 months later, when I got the deed with my name on it, I framed it. I didn't invite my parents to the celebration.